Goo Goo babies, a phrase that strikes fear into every trainer. As long as you're not a freak, I would know. But anyway, I want to know, is it even possible to finish the career of my favorite Uma, Tamamo Cross, without letting her fall into the evil clutches of Mommy Creek? Now, in order to do this, I've employed the assistance of both Meshio Dodo as well as Gold Chip to help Lil Tam Tam get a head start. Now, as for my skill cards, I of course couldn't do this challenge without the main antagonist herself, and to ensure that Tamamo can outrun her clutches, I also brought along Matikani Fukukutaru as well as Bakshin. Just be sure not to ask her what transpired on February 7th, 2026. Next up, Tamamo needs some muscle, so I brought along Rice Shower just for that. Then to ensure that Tamamo doesn't get depressed from seeing Super Creek, I brought along Riko Kashimoto. And finally, we all know who the final slot was for. And with my setup complete, it was finally time to train Tama so that she could protect herself against the dreaded Goo Goo babies. And sadly, the run is not off to a good start. Now, the stats I'll be training her on for this challenge are going to be really simple to understand. Firstly, Tama will need speed to outrun the Goo Goo babies, stamina to endure the Goo Goo babies, power to fight off the Goo Goo babies, guts to face the Goo Goo babies, and finally wit to outsmart the Goo Goo babies. And if you're thinking, hey, that just sounds like you're doing a regular career run, then you're right. I just wanted an excuse to make a video about Tamamo Cross. Now, Tama needs all the speed she can get, so that was my first priority, followed by stamina, then power. That's because Tam Tam is a late surger, one of the few late surgers I actually have, mainly because I've only pulled for like 3 Umas so far, and every damn time I pull for one, another Tokai Teo dupe shows up. Like this thing won't leave me alone. Anyway, back to Brokey's debut race, where after praising her for being one of the few late surgers I have, I end up running her as an in closer. So hopefully that won't end up biting me in the ass later. And by later, I mean right now, because Lil Tam Tam got a late start. So consider my ass bitten, not in a good way. But what ended up saving this race for her was White Lightning level 2. And it's level 2 because I got 2 Tam Tams when pulling for her, which sounds good until I tell you that I had to hit max pity just to get one. Anyway, with that boost from her ultimate, Tama manages to get a first place win here. And it was all downhill from here, because Tamamo's next goal is to get 5,000 fans. So I enter her in the Fuyo Stakes, since it was a pretty easy race for her to tackle. But apparently, I was wrong, because after getting rushed at the beginning of the race, she was completely worn out by the end, and even after using White Lightning, she only placed 6th. Tama, your chances of being Goo Goo babied are looking pretty high right now. And if that wasn't enough, now Oguri is sizing her up just to eat her. Chat, my horsey is in danger. Luckily, her next 2 races go smoothly, with a first place win both times. So now hopefully she can be released from Super Freak's clutches. Never mind. Now here's where I messed up. You see, Tama's next goal was to place top 3 in any G3 race and above. Well, I read it as G1, and because I missed the Satsuki Sho, a race course that fits Tama's abilities, I tried to enter her in races like the NHK Mile and the Japan Dirt Derby, races in which she absolutely bombed, and after I failed a training session, I figured that I kinda maybe messed up on this run. So in order to stop her fate of being consumed by Oguri Cap, I decided to restart the run. This time, before her debut race, I got corner recovery on her. So that resulted in another first place victory for her. And speaking about first place wins, this time Tama comes in first at the Fuyo Stakes. Mainly because I decided that she should probably run as a late surger to utilize her stamina. Also, she won at the Shigiku Show. I should probably mention that as well. Now we're finally back to the goal of her placing top 3 in 4 G3 races or higher. And you would think that this time around, I would have actually read it as G3. But remember chat, I'm a YouTuber. I was always illiterate. But just because I'm illiterate doesn't mean I'm dumb. Or maybe it does because I got long corners on Tama before the Satsuki Sho, a medium distance race. But I also got Mommy Creek swinging Maestro before this race as well, so maybe she's not that evil after all. Anyway, the Satsuki show goes perfectly. Lil Tam Tam stays around 10th for pretty much the whole race, up until the final corner, where at the last minute, Tama used White Lightning to pull ahead of Biwa Hayahide's fat head for her first G1 win. My lil Brokey is going places, because with a new influx of fans, I unlock new G1 races. The next one I enter her in being the Tokyo Yushin, where I got her long corners yet again, but this time I was planning for the future races, chat. Again, I might be stupid, but at least I'm not dumb. Now, as for the Yushin, everything was going fine up until White Lightning popped her White Lightning a little too early, causing Gold City to pass her at the end for a second place win, which still accomplishes our goal, so Tam Tam, stop crashing out. You can make up for it at the Takarazuka Kinen, which is happening right now. And this one was a bit of a nail biter, because Tamamo doesn't push ahead until the final corner, meaning that the end of the race was a showdown between Tama, Vodka, and Mambo. Luckily she wins, only for her to continue to crash out. So to make it up to her for racing 3 consecutive races, it's of course time for chat. You already know what it is, I really don't need to say it anymore. But during this trip, we managed to survive both the Devil's Temptations as well as the Beast of Gluttony. And after fighting through Mommy Creek's petting session, it's time to face the last race for this goal, the Autumn Tenno Sho. And just like before, Tamamo takes another win due to her level 2 White Lightning. And after my Osakan wins a carrot, which she won't eat, we have to move on to her next goal, the Hanshin Daishoten. I apologize if I said it wrong, I am white. But this is Tama's first long distance race, so long corners will actually come in handy here, as well as position pilfer. And it was probably a good idea I got those skills on her, because the race ended with a neck and neck against Tama and Tiamu Opera O. And after doing a slow motion instant replay, we can see that my horse demolishes that fraud. Now, onto the Spring Tenno Sho. And not only is this race important because it's Tama's father's favorite, how wholesome am I little horsey, but it's also the first race that Tama needs to win in order not to get Goo Goo babied. Because chat, do you realize something? If Trayson Academy hears that Tamano lost this race, they can condemn my position as trainer and will be forced out of Trayson. So Tama, you better win this goddamn racing fast. And speaking about going fast, I got her Fast and Furious, which helped her out a bit after getting rushed in the early stages of this race. And after getting her footing back with Swinging Maestro, Tama continuously gained positions up until she became first going into the final corner. And I thought this was going to end horribly, but instead she popped long corners, and from there she took off, genuinely leaving the other Umas in the dust, just to take first place at her second Tenno Sho, which is great and all, but I'm more confused on how my Brokey can afford a cell phone. Anyway, you would think with her overwhelming victory at the Spring Tenno Sho, that would scare off her predators, but no, Oguri is still spawn camping her future meals. So we decide to scare them again at the Takarazuka Kinen, because we have to race that one again. Now if I had a nickel for every time Tamamo Cross had a neck and neck finish with TM Opera O this challenge, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. And speaking about things that happen twice, Tamamo needs to race in the Autumn Tenno Sho, so this would be her 3rd Tenno Sho this run. And sure, I should be afraid of Oguri this race, but I'm kinda starting to fear Opera O, like she's literally starting beside her. She could easily eat her due to how small Tama is, but she wasn't the main threat. Surprisingly, Vodka was trying to get her revenge from the first Takarazuka Kinen, but she was no match for my little Aura farmer. And after a Christmas date where Tama tells me that I'm more than just a trainer to her, look, Tama, I'm sorry, I already have a wife, but to make it up to her, I finally get her Professor of Curvature, right before the Marina Kinen, where she'll be facing off against the Glutton and the Mommy. So by winning, she'll finally prove that she doesn't need to play Goo Goo babies anymore. The race starts out good, no late starts, and no getting rushed. Then towards the middle, Tama pops all 3 gold skills in a row, while maintaining her positioning. Then before going into the final corner, she uses her now level 5 White Lightning to start maneuvering through the pack, getting the 3rd place at the home stretch. before busting away from every other Uma for a first place finish, beating the Goo Goo baby allegations once and for all. Also, I guess I do sweep the Unity Cup finals as well, but that's not as important as the URA finals. But first, I have to get through the qualifier. And just like at the spring Tenno Sho, Tam Tam manages to break away from the pack for another victory, so that she could move on to the semi-final, where the curse of the semi-final late start strikes again. But unlike with Gold Chi, I've actually somewhat properly built Tama, so she was able to recover from this and finish first yet again. Now all my goat has to do in order to beat the Goo Goo baby slander is to take it all home by winning the URA finals. Also, Creek and Oguri are here as well, and you would think that for my final battle, this would be a legendary, exciting fight for first. But instead, Tamamo does what she does best. Stays in a pretty good position throughout most of the race, in the middle of the pack, up until the final corner where Professor of Curvature pops. From there, Tam Tam speeds up, getting in the third, where she activates her flow state, popping White Lightning and taking first place as her own. Yippee! So, can you beat Umamusume as Tamamo Cross and not get Goo Goo babied? Well, I mean, it depends on your definition of Goo Goo babies, but for the sake of this video, I'll say that you can. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll be grinding my Tamamo playthroughs until I'm the #1 Tama trainer in this game. But until next time, thank you for watching, and remember to have a fantastic day.